Hey, how are we all? Paul79 here. I hope you're safe and well. Welcome to part 15 of my home EV build, where I'm attempting to take a Porsche Boxster, make it electric, and also make it look like a GT3 RS. Now, it's been 2 months since we last spoke. Apologies again, but rest assured I've been busy working away on the car. And I've actually had a good excuse why we haven't spoke for such a long time, but more on that later. But yeah, in today's video, I just want to show you what I've been up to and tell you that basically the car is now ready to be painted because I have managed to make it go. I've managed to make it stop, and I've managed to make it charge. In this episode, I'm going to talk a bit about how I got the charging working on the car with the Orion BMS, etc. The DC's plumbed in as well, so the car basically can be used and driven out of this garage. I've been working on this car for about a year now. Yes, about this time last year I drove it in as a petrol car, and hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next couple of weeks I'm going to be driving it out to take it to the paint shop. Now the car's not done. Things like the air con, it hasn't even got coolant in it yet. But the reason why I'm taking it to the paint shop now is because I have another car that's being painted. It's actually going to be painted this week, and I really need to sort of finish that one off. So the idea is that one comes back, I finish that off while this one gets painted. I think I've done pretty much everything on this car that's sort of required, well, and more, to be fair, you know, that is required before it goes to the paint shop. I always generally build the whole car and then take it apart before I take them to be painted. So it's just worked out quite nicely. The weather's starting to turn as well, and if you've seen some of my previous videos, it's a bit of a mission for me to get these cars out of my garage, because we are in the back garden now and I have to drive the cars through the house, which my wife really doesn't like, and it's a big upheaval, but you know, needs must. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to you in a minute about why we haven't spoken for 2 months. I've got a very good reason, and it was quite frustrating, but the good news is everything is sorted. So see you in a bit. Bye. So 2 months ago, the last video I did was showing you how I made the rear battery box, you know, the one that goes underneath the boot of the car, and which was the last box I needed to make. And so that was sort of August time, start of August, and it's now October, and things were going well, and we're ready to move on to the next stage, which was connecting all the batteries up, and along with the Orion BMS, because one of the things I needed to do is get the old cells balancing on all of my battery modules, because they'd been disconnected for at least a year, maybe even 2 years. Anyway, got that all going. I previously wired up the Orion BMS and everything seemed to be working okay, but I wasn't getting any readings on the temperatures of the batteries, which is obviously a big problem. Bit of troubleshooting, went on the internet, went on some forums, and it turns out the way I'd wired up the thermistors on the Felton boards was incorrect. I had been told wrong, in good faith, I might add, which was actually quite frustrating. Now, it wasn't just a simple case of swapping wires around and things like that, because with thermistors there's no polarity to worry about. What it actually meant was I had to completely take my whole car apart and drop every battery box, take all the modules out, disconnect all the modules, you know, the bus bars, and rewire the connector. It was very frustrating. I put a picture here of the actual connector, not the connector, of the actual Felton board, and you can see the thermistor connections are T1 and T2 twice. Yeah, I was told to wire up for one thermistor T1 and T2 together, which I did think was a bit strange at first, but hey ho, you know, this person was very confident that was how you did it, and even said the labelling on the board's a bit misleading. But no, it turns out that's wrong. So on the Felton boards, you can have, there are two temperature sensors or two thermistors in a Tesla module, right? You don't have to have two connected for each battery module. And in fact, the Orion BMS, you can only have, or what I have, you can have a maximum of 8 anyway. So they're dotted about in you know, the various battery boxes that I've got. But to connect up one thermistor in a battery module, a Tesla one, you connect T1 and T1. Quite obvious really. And if you wanted a second temperature sensor on the same battery model, you connect up T2 and T2. So there you go. So I had to completely take the whole car apart. The good thing about it though was I made some improvements to a lot of the things. I got the middle battery boxes powder coated. I redid some connectors. I've added connectors in, so when I drop the whole subframe, I can just disconnect them and the whole thing will drop down, because previously I'd hardwired stuff. So often with every setback gives you a chance to improve things, and in the end it took me 17 days and 3 hours, not that I was counting, to get back where I was, but all good now. So as I said in the intro, I've managed to get my BMS all working. My DCs is all connected up, and that's charging the original car 12-volt battery, and the high voltage charging is all working as well. On reflection, it was fairly straightforward, but I was tearing my hair out for about a week because I still couldn't get the charger to work. In the end, it turned out I had a sort of a loose connection on the high voltage side, but sorted that all out, thank God. So I just want to sort of run you through how it sort of works. I will do a detailed video on all of this, perhaps when the car is painted and I have more time on my hands. But for now, what we have in the car at the moment is the key is in and the ignition is on, so it's basically in drive mode. Okay, so the BMS has to be on in both charging and drive mode. That noise you can hear, that's just the power steering pump. But if we come over to my laptop, so this is connected via CAN bus, and we can see what we have here is my cell data. Now that's not very close, is it? Let me go a bit closer. So hopefully that's better, we'll see in the final edit. But what this is showing, this is all my cell voltages in my, I think I've got 84 cells. It's not balancing at the moment. I've got my delta down to below one, I don't know, what is that, 1/10 of a microvolt? I don't know. Anyway, it's very low. This is saying that my pack is 94.5% state of charge, and my pack voltage is 341. So this basically is fully charged. I've been balancing it over a number of days, and yeah, everything is sort of sweet and hunky-dory. But then, of course, that's just in drive mode. So when I need to charge the car, obviously I didn't want to have to put the key in the ignition. So I came up with a solution from my good friend of mine, Paul, to enable me to do that without having to have the key in. So now I've taken the key out, the car is basically off. And what we have is, when I plug this charger in, the AC voltage that comes from the wall, I have a switch, a relay under the front bonnet here, that basically when it senses AC, it will close the relay, that then now enables me to have 12-volt power to again power the BMS off the 12-volt battery. But at the same time, it also switching on the DC, so there is no way that the 12-volt battery can run down. So what I have to do is I'll get my charger going. So you can use just one of these basic 3-pin plug chargers. Obviously, when I finish this car, I will have one properly installed in my house that will charge it a bit quicker. But for now, so plug the charger in. So you hear that click. So basically that was my circuit contactors closing to make the high voltage circuit, and now you can hear the charger. That's the fan on the charger. So the car is now charging. The charger is behind this panel here in the sort of the old engine bay. So we can see I've just set it for 12 amps, so it's chucking out 12 amps. Now obviously because I pulled the key out of the car, it's lost the communication, so I'm just going to connect that back up. And then sorry about the wait, people. Bear with. Right, done. So if I now go to live cell data, the battery is now being charged, and it's also being balanced. And what you can see here, I didn't point out, but basically here is my temperature sensors. So this is the highest and lowest temperatures of my Tesla batteries there. You probably can't see, but basically, yeah, it's now charging and in a balancing mode. And what will happen is when the car gets to a level of charge that I've set it at, which is 95%, it'll automatically stop charging. The charger will just turn off and it will just stay balancing if need be. So yeah, there you go. Quite pleased with myself. So on the interior, I've been doing a lot of work, mainly on the rear part, to basically make it look a bit more factory and hide a lot of all the wires and pipes and stuff like that. So if we take a look inside the car, what we have is everything is now sort of boxed in. So at the top there we've got my C-pillar trims there, and then I've made this parcel shelf that sits around the BMS box. If you look here through the top, sorry about the reflections, but yeah, it's sort of all merged in, so it gives you a hint of something unusual but not completely. If we look through here, yeah, so this parcel shelf and all these trim panels are sort of handmade to fit around the roll cage. I'm going to change this roll cage for a red one because this yellow one is going to go in my other car. And yeah, then across this, along the sides here, you can see I've made these plates that sort of sit on the top here and hide a lot of the EV stuff. So underneath here is my T2C connector. I have these plates here that are part of the kit. They're all covered in carpet, and it sort of just hides everything. But the beauty is it's all very easily removable, and I'm going to need to remove it soon to take it to the paint shop. If we look further down here, these B-pillar trims that were the Boxster parts, I've modified them to sort of work with the new roll cage. We'll also have the seatbelt mechanism here as well. I haven't worked on that yet, but that can be done later. But yeah, it all sort of bolts and screws together, so it all looks nice and tidy. And then sort of at the front of the interior, what I've done is I've fitted up my my door seals. I've added in my drip rails here that are from a Cayman. I do this on all of my cars. The quarter window will go here, and I'll just have another piece of trim that goes there. And then on the inside, I've basically put back all of the dashboard. Now this dashboard came with the car, and I wasn't going to use it because of the grey Alcantara that the previous owner had trimmed, and it also had blue stitching along here, but it was too sort of good not to use. So I had the idea of basically I coloured in the stitching black, so it's more in tune with the rest of the car. And yeah, basically I fitted it all back to how it's going to be. This dash wasn't originally a chrono one, but there was a big hole in it, so I've attached this chrono with this trimmed holder. It doesn't actually work, it just looks pretty. And then sort of all the glove box at the bottom and this trim panel here, I've carried on with this fake Alcantara that I used on the center console to sort of blend it all in. So that's how it's all going to look. I'm not going to put any more Alcantara in, I don't think. It's quite difficult to work with. And yeah, so this is all looking quite nice, quite sort of standard factory. And then I've put back sort of the trim panels here for the A-pillars. And what I have here is an iPad. So this is what I plan to do. So I would like to keep the Speedo as it is, so it looks factory. But this iPad here is connected to the T2C. So when I actually have the car running and I switch it on, basically the T2C comes alive. This roof will be obviously covered in carpet when the time is right, but yeah, this is sort of mounted to one of those magnetic mounts, and basically yeah, I've got power to it all the time so it doesn't go flat. And yeah, so it'll be there, but it's not completely ruining the look of the original Porsche dashboard. Obviously I've still got warning lights here, and I'm going to need to make some mods to make this sort of Speedo work properly, but a lot of that can be done after the car is painted. But yeah, I just wanted to get a sense of what it would look like, and I'm very pleased how it's turned out. This dashboard doesn't need to come off again. I've changed the tubing for the aircon vents to take the 911 style dashboard and vents, the airbags all back in there, and yeah, the interior has turned out quite nice. And then on the front of the car, I've put back an old windscreen. It's cracked, but it will be good. It will help protect it, you know, when it's in the paint shop from dust, and also when I move these cars around. Had to cut up the scuttle cover trim to make that work with the bonnet, but that's sort of standard kit car stuff. And then underneath here, I've also had a go at trial fitting back all the trim panels from the Boxster to make it look a bit more factory. Initially, I wanted to make this, you know, sort of usable as a boot, but as you can see, there is so much going on now. It's just going to be like an engine bay, I'm afraid. But that's fine, you can't really fit much in there. But you know, it looks pretty sort of factory and standard. What we have here is I've mounted my CD changer, because this car has Bose, and even though I'm not going to use the original radio, you still need to have that connected for it to work. That's the amplifier from the Bose system. This is where all my resistors for my lights are. This is all high voltage stuff, as you can tell from the stickers. The power steering is now working. That's all connected up. That was that little noise you heard in the last clip. That was just it spinning up. This is my brake reservoir. Now, in previous videos, I had this as a remote one, and I had it under here, out of the way. But it wasn't working properly, so I've sort of for now put it there. It meant I had to trim back this trim panel a bit more. I probably could have done it a bit better, but what I might do, if that really annoys me and I'm going to keep it this like this, I will get another one of these and trim it properly. But yeah, I mean, it still looks fairly neat underneath here. It's like an engine bay though. And I'm pleased how it's looking at the moment. You know, you can still access, even with this panel in place, you can still access all of the high voltage stuff should you need to. That compressor there is for my air ride, which again is all now working, so that lifts the car up about 1 inch to clear the old speed bumps. And then on the front of the car, I've been doing, you know, kit car bits. I've put extra brackets, you can't really see, to connect the front bumper to the chassis, so it's a lot more sturdy. I've worked out all of these lights. I've made all of these grills. Here you go, here's one of the grills. I've nearly finished it. But yeah, all these grills to fill these massive holes here to get air to the radiator. That's all handmade. Number plates on, and yeah, worked out the headlights. They're all connected up and working. I've just got another one to come back from the repairers. But yeah, everything is sort of ready to go to the paint shop. You know, all these little jobs that are better done before the car is painted, they're all done, and it's just a case of putting it all back together. On the rear of the car, similar sort of story. Trial fitted a lot of things. Got my number plate. I've done my reverse camera that works. I've got my number plate lights in there. The fake exhaust is in place. I've added brackets to, you can't really see, I've added brackets there to connect the bumper again to the chassis. You've got some there as well, just making it a lot firmer so it doesn't flap about. Lights are all in. I've made this grille, which again is a kit car thing, so that's all in place and in situ. Oh, my knees. I had to get one of these made specially, which houses the third brake light. I've cut the holes out here. These will be covered in grille with a mesh. But yeah, that's all in place now. Rear screen. I'm not going to use this one. This is actually a real GT3 RS one, which is actually made of plastic. It's not glass, but it doesn't have a rear heater element, unfortunately. But I will need that because I will use this car every day and it will be kept outside. Along the side of the car, you can see you've added the side skirts. And yeah, a lot of the jobs I have done. I will have to take a lot of it apart, certainly on the interior bit at the back there, before it goes to the paint shop. But you know, all this hard work is sort of done now, and when it comes back painted, it's just a case of assembling. So there you go, gang, that's it for part 15, and that's it for a bit, to be honest with you, on the whole EV side. I hope you've enjoyed all the previous 15 parts that I've done. I'm sorry that it's perhaps not as detailed as I quite sort of thought it would be when I started this whole project, but this is the problem. I'm a one-man band, you know. It would be nice if I had someone to help me film while I was doing these things, but you know, it's just me on my own, and often I could do with another pair of hands just to help me lift stuff, but that's where we are. So a couple of weeks, that car will be gone out of this shed, and there'll be another one in its place that I'm hoping to finish off. Shouldn't take too long. I mean, we're now October, it'll probably be in by November. I'll probably finish that one within 3 months. Whether that one will be painted in time, I don't know, but we'll be back on that in you know, spring, summertime, and we can finish off all the extra bits and hopefully, you know, get it on the road next year. I actually went over to the paint shop today to check on the colour that I'm going to do the other one, and this is what it is. Isn't that nice? Very bright blue. I had a picture in my head of the blue I wanted. This is a Porsche colour. It's Riviera blue, actually. I thought I wanted Miami blue, but that was a bit too green for me, so that's what I've gone for. I'm a bit colourblind anyway, but anyway, that's what I like. So till next time, if you only watch this for the EV stuff, well, thanks for watching. I hope you will continue to watch the videos I do on the blue car, you know, if you're interested in sort of cars in general. But if not, you know, I'll see you in a few months. And those of you who are not interested in EVs but like the kit cars, welcome back to the next video. Anyway, take care everyone, see you later, bye bye.